Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Stefan, and today we'll be continuing on our journey into 2.2 Megacorps. But first, I'd like to start with a public service announcement. Wiz is kill. Well, more specifically, he is off the Stellaris team, hopefully permanently, and has been replaced with Jamor. Now, Wiz is one of the main factors as to why this game got released in such an unfinished state, and I'm glad to see him go. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen with this new guy, and hopefully he's going to lead this game into a direction that is less broken and more balanced. So far, that's exactly what he's doing, just cleaning up some of the bugs that Wiz left behind in the 2.2 patch. So far, these changes only affect the 2.2.2 beta branch, and I actually actively suggest you play on it, because the experience I've had with it so far is significantly better than what I've had with base 2.2. So, without further ado, let's actually begin this update and begin this guide. And we'll start off with some strats meant to transition you from early game to the mid game in the most efficient and most profitable way possible. So, without further ado, let's begin with some Xeno diplomacy. Now in the last video, I have almost neglected getting contacts with every empire. You do want to do that relatively early on, and it does not cost too much, just communications for energy. And the price is usually right. So let's see here. Ooh, Galactic Market. This is something we've actually missed, and I wish I've actually met the requirements to get this opportunity started. So what the Galactic Market is an improved version of your internal market, which is affected by the purchases and sales of every empire's resources. So there's going to be a lot more fluctuation, and usually there's a lot higher prices than there were in the internal market. So some empires, like the Devouring Swarm, Determined Exterminator, and the Fanatic Purifier, may actually benefit from not being able to access the Galactic Market, because prices will rise. Let's just put it that way. So if you don't already know, in order to begin the Galactic Market establishment chain, you have to have contact with half the galaxy in terms of empires, and also designate one of your worlds as a potential trade hub for the Galactic Market. This is a planetary decision that costs 1,500 energy and 150 influence. However, I believe it's quite worth it, and if you can, you should discover these empires before I did, and take advantage of establishing the Galactic Market. What you get from it is a reduced market fee, and this could be quite good in alleviating some of the costs associated with being part of the market. So now with these newly discovered empires, let's see if any of them are willing to get a commercial pack going. These guys seem to be willing enough, so let's transfer some alloys. Not too much, we don't want to not have any alloys to transfer to other empires. We do have some monthly trades going. And let's pay them with some energy. And so let's confirm for commercial pact. And alright. Now we're going to be able to establish a corporate office. And once we have some energy and minerals stored, we'll do the same with some of these other empires. As far as our base planets go, we have an empty slot on our colony. However, I would like to wait for our robot assembly plants to actually plop the building on the planet. We do have some jobs up and running, and so this is not going to be a problem. However, this planet does seem to be suffering in terms of amenities and housing, and so we're just going to build some hollow theaters and wait it out until we can get the robots, because, well, I don't want to be dealing with negative amenities, and getting extra unity from the building is going to be quite nice. Alright, we have sighted some mercenaries. These are going to be playing a big role in our empire's development, because eventually we're going to run across some nasty Xenos that we're going to want to purge without actually building any fleet of our own, and so hiring their fleet is going to be quite useful in terms of clearing out whatever rubble we have to deal with. For example, we might have to deal with some piracy, and so we can establish a patrol and make sure none of our systems are affected by it. Alright. Gene clinics. These are going to be quite important. They're going to provide extra amenities and extra pop growth, and so these are going to be pretty much perfect for newly established colonies, because as a first building, they're going to be supreme because they're providing 10 amenities. Currently, the hollow theaters are providing way too many amenities, and also they're going to be providing extra pop growth, which is quite literally the best thing that we can hope for. Alright, we have a new election. Early game, you can spend some influence to select the ruler in the election. However, generally it's best to abstain and hope that the new ruler you get isn't too bad. And indeed, this guy is pretty good, and I'm fine with it. Saving up influence is generally going to be quite good because it's going to allow us to establish even more corporate offices on even more worlds. And indeed, let's see if we can establish some more commercial pacts with some enemies, well, future enemies, potentially, and see if we can get some more going. Alright, perfect. Commercial pact, research agreement, non-aggression. And actually, they're so ecstatic that we can revoke their guarantee right away. In fact, we're going to want to do that with some of the other empires, and that is because we don't want to be stuck in a messy situation where they go to war and we have to join one of the sides. Because so far, our main strategy is to remain peaceful and dominate everyone in terms of economy and research. And getting into wars is clearly not going to be the best way of going about it. Alright, so we can get some extra colony development speed, and I'm actually going to try to go for it and see if we can do something about colonizing planets and resettling pops, because right now we have a tradition that allows us to get 2 pops for every colony, and if we can afford the colony ships, we could potentially pay 200 of each consumer alloys and food in order to get 2 pops, which in my opinion is meh in terms of worthiness. However, if we reform our government and get some good old private prospectors going, that could be a viable option, because paying 500 energy for 2 pops is even better than the rates offered by the slave market, to which we can participate, but AI doesn't seem to ever trade their pops, and so it's a bit miserable there. There's no one, and if anyone tries to sell, they get immediately snatched up. Also, as far as empire expansion goes, in the last video I have mentioned that this will generally be the size of our empire so far, and that is because we have not really discovered any of the systems, and we were running into problems with empire size, which has been renamed into empire sprawl in the beta patch. The reason I've been saying that is because I've been under the assumption that megacorporations cannot unlock the administrative bureaucracy tax, which increase admin cap. However, it seems that I've just simply had an extremely unfortunate experience, and we can actually increase our administrative cap quite significantly later on. And so with that, we're actually going to try to expand into some of these systems. So this, for example, has some trade value and minerals, and so we can take that. We can also take this system and Ibicroys. So that's alright. And now it seems that one of our science ships has reached its end in terms of exploration, and so what we can do is send it over to Arctic Route and assist research. Assist research provides quite nice bonuses. It goes from 10 to 20% extra research production, and so it's quite worthwhile to get a science ship in orbit and just have him level up the scientist. Leveling up the scientist is what actually provides him with more extra research on the planet that he's supporting. So right now with one of our colonies, we have an empty building slot, and we have the potential to build some robot assembly plants. And indeed, we're going to go for that, even though amenities are a little low, and stability is also a little low. We're going to counter that by also upgrading the planetary administration, and actually prioritizing that, because I do not want crime on my worlds. We've also discovered the Curator Order, which is excellent, and we're basically going to want to have an agreement with them throughout the whole game. Additionally, once we discover the L-Gate, we will want to get some L-Gate insights. L-Gates are exclusive to distant stars, and are guaranteed in every galaxy, so it's quite worthwhile to try to crack them open, because if there's, spoiler alert, the Great Tempest or the Das of New Conscience on the other side, we can actually go in there and terraform the worlds into potentially Ecomonopoli or Gaias, and either way, it's going to be the perfect outpost for a Megacorp. just a little branch outside the galaxy from which the Empire leads its trade dealings. Alrighty, looks like one of our branch offices has actually reached the size of 50 pops. And what I generally recommend going for is the private mining consortium. Once you start building robots and consumer good buildings on your planets, you're going to feel the lack of minerals real quickly. And so we're going to want to make sure we don't have any lack and just build some consortiums. I find them quite worthwhile, and generally behind Research and Unity, they are one of the best buildings to build on branch offices. Oh yeah, it looks like they still haven't fixed the issue with the Galactic Market. After roughly 10 years of the market existing, you'll notice that all the prices will be jacked all the way up. And this is quite significant. Now the only prices that will probably remain stable are the prices for the strategic resources, but otherwise you will be buying consumer goods for roughly 7 energy a pop, which is quite significant, and that is why you generally don't want to get into the market and buy resources, because, well, just look at this alloy price, 17 per alloy. That is insane. However, it does make for some very good trading opportunities, because you can sell off your stocks, and if you're overly producing one resource, you can start selling it, and so that's always quite nice. Alrighty, we have reached our first Ascension perk. This is a bit later than any normal Empire would reach it, but you know, we got our bonuses from Prosperity and Diplomacy, so that is all worth it. Now we have a couple options. We can either wait for habitats and just go ahead the normal megastructure route, or we can alternatively try to get the mega engineering technology by itself and instead go for 2 other Ascension perks instead of habitats and master builders. One of these potentially good perks is Mastery of Nature and Technological Ascendancy. Technological Ascendancy is just a flat 10% research speed bonus, as it always has been, but Mastery of Nature can allow you to have extra districts on your planets, and since we are playing with very few planets, it's going to help us significantly with managing their growth. Now one thing I'm trying to do in regards to our growth is actually do a little something with the colony ship. I have mentioned before that you can colonize planets and remove all the pops from it, but now we're going to try it in action. So let's see how this works. Provided that we can get pops to colonize a planet within a relatively short period of time, this could be a very good strategy to bolster your growth if you have plenty of alloys and consumer goods. So let's test it out and see how that works. What's actually cool about this update is that there is no requirement for basic habitability on any planet, and instead when you colonize a low habitability planet, you just get a warning from it, and so we can colonize it just the same, and it's gonna be alright because all these pops are gonna be transferred over to our other planets in order to bolster growth. So let's see how quickly that will be, and whether this can be a reliable strat. Of course, I do have to mention the resettlement costs, which is going to be about 200 per pop, and it may be a bit of a problem, but let's see here. Colonizing planet. This will take us roughly 3 years. This is worthwhile. Getting 2 pops every 3 years, I do think it's worth it, especially if we can extend this towards some other planets that are also within the reach of our empire. Well, to afford it, let's get our consumer goods and alloy production up and running first. Everything else in our empire seems to be top shape. Alrighty, we have finished colonizing this dummy planet, and now let's see if we can just resettle these pops. Let's go ahead and resettle them to Terramore Prime, and yeah. 1-2. Now we can send in this extra colony ship and recolonize the planet without any issue. The devs may fix this in the future, however, so far I see a lot of possibility in just colonizing planets with not a lot of habitability, and just resettling these pops, because now we are facing some issues on our planet. However, we have a lot more pops doing a lot more jobs. The only problem with this strategy is that the pops coming in are going to be of the specialist strata, and so are going to be unemployed before they can demote to worker class. And indeed, it's going to take them 5 whole years to demote. This can be reduced by the Harmony Tradition kinship, or you can just play as a Gestalt consciousness, and the pops will just take whatever job they need to. And so with certain empires, this is going to be a lot more worthwhile. But another solution to this situation is that we can simply create more specialist jobs, and indeed we do need some, so that's going to be a win-win. Otherwise, I'll start building colony ships on my main shipyard, and start claiming some of these territories such as Tilla and Chatlib, and just plopping my colony ships onto them for a couple of years, and then we can get some more pops. Alrighty, we have recolonized the world, and let's resettle the pops once more. This seems to be quite simple. Bam bam. So now we're back at 3 colonies, and we have 2 more pops that are specialists, and they're going to be perfect for some more alloy foundries, because alloy foundries employ precisely 2 pops, and these guys are going to get priority in actually getting their jobs versus other pops getting promoted. Alrighty, we have now unlocked the tech to modify our robots, and now we can go for some luxurious mass-produced bots. And it does seem a little ridiculous, but these two match quite perfectly, and now it can also add minus pop housing usage and extra mineral production, and this can be quite nice. So let's create that template and set all our worlds to actually produce this once we enable population control, of course. So let's go into policies, population controls allowed, and now we can choose which robot we're actually going to be able to assemble. So that's going to be great, because now we're not going to be getting the base robot, we're going to be getting the extra fancy robot. You can actually do the exact same thing with your actual living pops, and you just designate which pop will grow. However, you will take a minus 20% pop growth speed bane, so it might be worth it, it might be not, depending on how your empire plays out. If you're playing as a xenophile and you cannot actually kick out the dirty xeno pops, you might want to restrict growth to your main species so that they don't swamp you and take over your empire, because that can happen. Demographic replacement is a real thing, and it is particularly noticeable in this game, so be cautious of letting xenos take over your worlds. Oh, perfect. Gene modification. I believe it is time for us to end here, because gene modification will be signaling another phase in our empire's evolution, and that is because we're going to be going biological ascension and doing all that cool stuff. The thing about biological ascension is that it actually unlocks a building, clone vats, which increase your pop growth speed by 33%, which is the most any building can provide, and is quite significant if you plop it on your planet and see the pop growth rise. So thanks for everyone for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I do have a Discord channel and a Patreon. They're going to be in the description. So join my Patreon if you want to interact with some pretty good people interested in Stellaris, and donate to Patreon if you want to. If we make the comparison with Megacorps in real life, I would be a Megacorp, you'd be a regular empire, and we'd try to go for a commercial pact. Now, whether or not you want to accept that commercial pact is all up to you. But of course, something like that will benefit us both. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll be putting out the next video of this series in a couple of days, so watch out for that. I'll see you guys there. Bye-bye.